Good afternoon, everybody. You're hanging out with Alexander Turbin and Joe Leo Leonardo. We're comic books from coast to coast, and we're taking a look at a couple really great artists today. It's going to maybe seem like a couple of like dudes that don't necessarily mirror each other, but at the same time, they obviously very much do. And we're going to be looking at Joe Madureira, who brought us the really wonderful sort of SNK Neo Geo video game style and brought it into comic books. I really feel like he kind of like took the SNK art style created for games like Street Fighter and like the Neo Geo, like Samurai Showdown and things like that, and just sort of like incorporated a lot of modern line work and was able to sort of translate it into modern comics. It's fantastic. And then the always incomprehensibly classic and always insanely wonderful Arthur Adams, who in not so many ways is kind of responsible for the modern comic book industry as it is, as far as the look.
Oh yeah, definitely. You think that Madureira brought the video game look into comics, or you think he brought the comic book look into the video games?
I think he brought the video game look into comics.
Yeah,
I think
I'll have to do a little bit of research and see which came
There's a
first.
lot of clones too, like like Roger Cruz pops up almost immediately after him, and he is just riffing on Joe Madureira so hard.
Oh yeah, there's a huge amount of people that were influenced by Madureira, a huge amount.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah, I would say that this was after Image, right? So I
think it's this is an Image comic. Cliffhanger is an Image book. It's just
right.
It's published by Image or whatever, but it's its own. You know what I mean? Like whatever you call that.
Right. But this came out in 1994, and so that's a couple years after Image started publishing, right?
Yeah, it looks like this is from 1999.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, X-Men, I think if it's not where he got his start, it's pretty close, because he jumped right on to Marvel's biggest book, pretty much. I don't know what his first work was, but
I'm pretty sure it is X-Men. Like, and it's some sort of like early X-Men thing. Like I think it's like a backup or something like that. Like a little like 8-page thing or something is his very first piece of work. I think it's like a little.
You think it's from Marvel Comics Presents?
I'm not sure, but I know I've seen the kayfabe guys do a show on it. It's not coming to my brain right now, but I know it was just like a little backup story, in the back of X-Men or something like that.
Yeah.
And, he I guess did a nice job on it, and you do good work and you get more work, and you stay timely and you turn your work in, when you do a nice job, and I guess you build yourself up like that. Because I understand he was like like a gopher for them or whatever, like a copy boy kind of thing or whatever, before before he actually got a job drawing there, he was just like an assistant in the office. So
That's how you get work.
Yeah, it's not hard to translate to full-time awesome artist when you're right there around everybody working in the offices with them or whatever.
Yeah. So well, I know that this is his first X-Men. I don't. Full-time X-Men. So I don't know about the other stuff of what, the 8-page or whatever. So, yeah. So what do you got to say about him?
Yeah, right off the back, you can see that stuff feels pretty primitive compared to where he ends up at. But you fully see it all right there on the page, you know what I mean? He's crushing it, like the colors, I'm not sure I'm too fond of that, but I mean, Marvel was whacking this stuff out, especially at this time, and Joe Mad, I mean, I'm kind of a big fan of his, like in a lot of ways. I don't emulate his work necessarily, and it's not something that I like look at all the time, but I would be remiss if I was to say that it doesn't influence me in some ways, and that that there's not elements about his work that I think are really great. Like him and Stephen Platt have some similarities that don't necessarily pop up the moment you see them, but if you kind of study them a little bit more, you'll see the real squareness of their figures, the real heaviness and broadness of the way they both proportion muscles and stuff like that. There's a lot of similarities. And then they both have really great storytelling, obviously. And, you know, I guess it's not a coincidence that they're both using Liquid Colors, who is Christian Leitner, I believe is the guy's actual name. And he's fantastic. I mean, Christian Leitner, I don't even know where that guy came from. His colors are so good. Like, I know, like, some people don't like it that much because he can be, like, he has a very particular color palette. And sometimes this stuff is really audacious and can be a little over the top or whatever. But I think it's fantastic. You know, it reminds me a little bit of Jake, you know, Jake Quirk stuff, you know what I mean? Like, they really get in there with those bright colors and, like, not afraid to use shades that other people might consider like too pastel-y or something like that, but they'll use it and it'll be very appropriate and it'll work perfectly, you know, like, dude, like, you know, like, say, like, he's a little bit like you in some ways. And what I'll say is that his work is way more appropriate for a fantasy universe, and he has an easier time, I think, drawing fantasy and stuff like that than when you bring him into something like the X-Men, where he's doing buildings and cars and motorcycles and stuff like that, where he isn't as quite as strong. Not to say that he can't do that. I mean, it's the same thing with you, dude. Like, you draw
he can
those
definitely
things
do
too.
it.
Yeah,
like I'm not.
I feel like he has an affinity for the fantasy more, so the books kind of maybe look a little bit better. You know?
I'm not like I've said off camera that I'm not his biggest fan, but he is super competent. Like he's a professional. Like,
and I mean,
in every sense of the
his
word.
old work there. You know what I mean? That's his old work. Like, those cars, that motorcycle are pretty goofy looking.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's awesome work. You know, it's just, you know, some art, you know, you gravitate more towards some art than other art, but like the action and the frenetic energy that he has on every single panel is crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah. Like
look at these buildings.
Dude, that's a great perspective too. I mean, that's really impactful. Now, personally, I don't think that car and that motorcycle are drawn very well, but it's still serviceable. I mean, you know what they are, and it's fine. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But I just feel like when you compare like that kind of thing to when, you know, he's doing something that he really loves, like, you know, like these freaking, you know, behemoth robot characters, or you know, him doing like these beautiful forest scenes, because he really, you know, I mean, these trees and stuff, you know, he knocks it out. I mean, they're gorgeous. You know,
as somebody that has just drawn a bunch of motorcycles in some stuff that I've done, this motorcycle is awesome. Motorcycles are insanely hard, and this is incredibly awesome. I don't know about the car. I've never been good at cars, but I mean, it is awesome.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like art. It's like, Alex, you're a great artist, you know what I mean? And you could draw anything you want to draw, obviously. But I feel like, you know, you drawing a medieval castle, you probably enjoy it more than sitting down and drawing a city full of skyscrapers and cars.
I hate skyscrapers, so you're 100% right.
So I think that tells in the art a lot of times. You know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely.
So, I mean, that's kind of my only thing is I feel like he's more appropriate for a fantasy story. His art is stronger, and, you know, I mean, it just feels more, you know, you can just tell he's vibing on it more. Of course, this is his story, too. You know, this is him. Valkyries is him making up his own story or whatever. And I think he's working with a writer. But, you know, this thing is very, like, it's like one part Berserk. And
I've never read Battle Chasers. Is it good? Like, is it a good comic, written well and everything?
You know, like I've said before, comic stories don't always like vibe me as far as like the story stuff goes. You know, I'm much more about just like enjoying the art most of the time. But I mean, it's a cool enough comic, and it reads perfectly fine, and at no point do you ever find yourself getting lost or anything, you know, like I said, it's, you know, I mean, it's clearly a pastiche of a handful of things, you know, is the way I perceive it. You know, he's trying to bring a manga flavor to this, you know what I mean, to this
Yeah.
piece of work.
Yeah.
He has created a manga-esque universe that's very reflective of like Dragon Ball Z. It's very reflective of Berserk. It's very reflective of just like a handful of like different Asian style stories, that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily represented in American comics that much. I
Yeah.
mean, this
Yeah.
guy is like just like a few inches to the right or left, and you would not have too much time getting guts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
From Berserk or
I
whatever.
feel like on this stuff, his early X-Men stuff, he's trying his hardest. He's putting the most lines in that he possibly can. You can totally tell the differences between these pages and what you're looking at. Like he's chilled out with
Well,
the line
oh,
work.
big time too. And like,
Yeah,
think how many? It's almost 10 years, isn't it? I mean, that, or it's like
yeah.
6 years
From
or something like that.
94 to what
To
what year is that?
99, 99.
99. Yeah,
So
so
that's
five
like
years.
6 years or something.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of time to be refining your style or whatever, refining your art. And I mean,
yeah,
his stuff is just, it's very beautiful. The colors really accentuate it. And even over there on your side, the stuff is like that bottom left shot of the two hands coming together right there,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's awesome. Like
Yeah, yeah, it's
he
not
hits,
easy.
yeah, he hits the ground running hardcore, what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
not hard to see why he became like so influential to people. And it's a little bit bummer of a deal that, he didn't do more comics. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think he finished Battle Chasers.
oh, really?
Yeah. Like, from what I heard, like, not too long ago, I believe there was a Kickstarter to try and get the last two issues, to the story finished or whatever.
Yeah,
And I don't think he was even drawing it at that point. I think someone else
yeah,
had completely taken over the art on it,
yeah,
And I know a lot
yeah,
of people were pretty disappointed because everybody, came to the table for his art. You know what I mean? It's like Battle Chasers is cool. The idea is cool, but it's like, you want to get the whole package. You know what I mean? You came to it because of that guy's art and the story, not just the
yeah,
story. It's always a bummer when you have somebody who, really brings a character and a set of stories to life, and then, don't see it through to the very end. It's like, I mean, you look at these guys, like how far away from like a Vegeta is this little green guy down here? You know what I mean? Like from Dragon Ball, or like
yeah,
where's the old guy at here? Like the little wizard guy who looks like he was literally like drafted right from Dragon Ball Z, the grandpa character or whatever. This guy right here, with the little braid and the beard and stuff. And I mean, like, he's fully riffing on that Asian stuff. I love his like werewolves and things like that. But he's an amazing guy. I love his stuff. He's a really talented artist, a really talented storyteller. I mean, his when you put him with liquid colors, I mean, this stuff just roars off the pages. You know what I mean? Like, that
yeah,
stuff you're looking at is pretty cool, but you can feel and tell it's early for him and he's working things out. Like, the faces aren't there yet. You know what I mean? He gets so
yeah.
much
Oh,
better
yeah,
at faces.
yeah,
Like, the faces are still really, they have just a beyond simply cartoon level. You know what I mean? They're just really like deeply, deeply simplified, and sometimes they look really flat. There's not much lighting taking place even on the male faces or anything. He's
I would
hashing through
say,
a lot of this stuff.
yeah, I would say the faces are the most anime manga inspired out of all of the stuff that he does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that stays true throughout, his entire run on comics for the most part. And that's one of the
Yeah,
things he's really great at is getting a lot of cool emotion on the pages. And I love, this is something I like to do quite a bit, is like the silhouette, I mean, the black
yeah,
silhouette. Like,
yeah,
those things are good. And like, you could turn, like, you could put one of those on every other page and people don't. It doesn't light up on your memory board. You don't sit there going, oh, he's cutting corners because he puts these in. Because when you do them right, you know what I mean? Like this beautiful one up here of him standing in front of the cross. I mean, dude, like, that's so beautiful, right? Because, I mean, just look at
yeah,
that
yeah,
simple silhouette. But it's liquids, colors that make that look so fantastic, dude.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
bright moon setting in the background and all that misty wash over the back. It's incredible. I'm a huge fan. But I'm also a huge fan of our other artists too. Like I have to say, I mean, they're two totally different dudes, but um, I mean, they're both great at storytelling. In a lot of ways, they're both had huge influences that changed the direction of comic books for an entire like generation of people. In a lot of ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I
are we
don't.
switching
Oh,
to
well, I
art?
mean, yeah. Well, I'm going to take a look at him here in a minute. But I'm just thinking, like the way Arthur Adams brought in all that tiny line work. You know, he really sort of like took the Neil Adams thing and really compressed it. And like articulated that kind of thing. I mean, his layouts aren't crazy like Neil Adams's are. But like he takes that really intricate look and he just pushes it over the fence. You know what I mean? And it becomes like, and then from going forward, it's like he's taking like Bernie Wrightson and Neil Adams and like smashing them together, and that's kind of like what
Yeah.
Arthur Adams is or
And
whatever.
Michael Golden too. You can see a lot of
Yeah,
Michael Golden
yes,
in
and
Arthur
Michael
Adams.
Golden too. Yeah, yep. You're 100% right. Yeah, and then like without that kind of thing, we would have never got the Image look. You know what I mean? Because those are the guys that sort of like defined what Image was going to look like in the future, even though the Image guys hadn't really revealed themselves as that yet. You know what I mean? Because they needed to
Yeah.
see Arthur Adams, and all that stuff before they could look at their own stuff and be like, oh, I want my stuff to look more like this. Because before Arthur Adams, um, Jim Lee's work doesn't look like it does. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
looks more. It's way more cartoony. It's way more simple. He's not. He didn't put the hit. Like I don't think his eye saw it until I mean that's the way art works a lot of time. Like it's impossible. To create. It's like you always need someone to grasp from. When you're an artist, it's like so rare to
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
someone to come out and be like H.R. Giger, and you don't have no reference for where their art came from or where you know what I mean, where how
Yeah.
he got
Yeah.
that good or whatever. Like that doesn't
Well,
happen that often.
well, we're all influenced by something, whether or not it's comics or movies or
Yeah,
TV
paintings
or
or
nature or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
So looking at Arthur Adams, like I like Joe Madureira, but I love Arthur Adams. Like
Sure.
he's in my top 10. He might even be in my top five. I don't know. It's pretty hard to say. Pretty much my top five will change with whoever I'm looking at the time. Um, but like this is my favorite Arthur Adams story, and which is Giant Size X-Men. Actually, it's Uncanny X-Men Annual number 9, and just the amount of detail is just incredibly insane in this thing. The inking actually is some of it's by Mike Mignola too, so you actually have some of that. I wouldn't be surprised if Mignola they influenced each other when they first started coming out because they came
Well,
out pretty much the same time or
that's
close to the
trippy
same
because
time.
like the inking on that, you know what I mean? Like you don't really get any Magnolia naturalities from it. He's clearly, just fully he's not implementing any of himself on the inks, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? He's just
yeah,
fully just doing whatever, Arthur Adams is giving him.
yeah,
But yeah,
and
dude, I mean that stuff is gorgeous. Just those two profile shots at the top and bottom of all the characters standing there, you know what I mean?
yeah,
That stuff is
yeah. It's crazy.
fantastic. It's not easy to do those either, especially have that all on one page. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
for me personally, that would be like, a day and a half of drawing for the top panel and probably a day and a half of drawing for the
Yeah.
bottom panel.
Yeah, that's why he couldn't do a monthly schedule, monthly comic book schedule. There's just some artists that can't do it, and some I feel like it's kind of a cop out because their styles are a little maybe not more simplistic. But I mean, when you're looking at something like this, I mean, look at the crazy amount of um, inking and penciling on there that it's just crazy. And so I can understand how long it takes. Like you were saying, that would take, you a day and a half. It would take me, a couple days. It would take me probably 2 or 3 days to do this. But yeah, I mean, some guys are out there and they're slow, and I don't feel like they should be slow. But that's everybody's personal,
Yeah,
artistic
Arthur Adams
way.
is another one, man. He hits the ground running, literally in the shot right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Freaking first
Oh
shot is
yeah.
like just long shot, just like hauling balls. But this is kind of fun, because I mean, what is this issue from? Let's just take a quick look at what
That's
we
issue
have
number
here.
that's issue number one. That's his first work. That's his
This is
first
his
comic
very
book work.
first work. Yes, this is the
Yeah,
first time anyone has ever seen Arthur Adams in comic.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
1985. Um,
yeah,
and this is my copy I bought at my little, corner store when I was, whatever, like 12 or
yeah.
13 or whatever I was when this thing came out. And somehow I still have this one, which is awesome. Um, and yeah, man, like I can remember getting this thing and just being like, who is this? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And it wasn't even just the art, man. I mean, Longshot as a character was amazing. And what do they say that ripping someone off is the highest level of praise or whatever?
yeah.
And it's like, Domino is just a massive ripoff of Longshot. You know what I
Oh yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Pretty
They're like
much.
the exact same character.
Yep.
Except for Domino sucks compared to Longshot.
Yeah,
Longshot's freaking amazing. And
yeah,
Domino's
yeah,
just a sad ripoff. It's just like everybody thinks Deadpool is like so cool. Like Deadpool, Deadpool, Deadpool. Deadpool is a ripoff of freaking the character who was originally called the Terminator. And you do know that what's his name? God, what is he called? Deathstroke in DC
yeah,
Comics was originally
yeah,
called the Terminator. But when the
yeah,
Terminator
yeah.
movie came out, they got sued, and freaking Cameron owned the rights to the name, and then they had to change the name to Deathstroke from the Terminator.
Even though Deathstroke came first.
Yeah, even though Deathstroke came way first.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know the extenuating circumstances or whatever, but I do know that is what happened at some point.
Right.
Like
Yep.
they were
I
forced
I
to
would
in
I would
litigation
be
to change
willing
the
to
name.
bet that was there an actual lawsuit or was there just like we'll change it.
From what I understand, like I said, I've not really looked deeply into it, but the kayfabe
Yeah.
guys talk about it a couple of times, and there's just like some sort of lawsuit, situation that is impending, that just
Yeah.
is avoided by them just changing the name.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would um hearken, I guess, that whatever movie studio did Terminator, they strong armed DC because DC wasn't Warner Brothers then. So
Yeah, yes.
I would be willing to bet the big movie studio came into the little comic book studio and said, we want this changed or we're going to sue you. And
Or
DC was
yeah,
like,
you're
okay,
gonna have some
okay.
trouble or whatever. And it's like we don't want to mess around with a freaking full-on movie studio with a
Yeah,
bunch of money,
yeah,
like
yeah.
stuff like that never goes anywhere good anyways. But regardless, I'm just saying, like, Deadpool is just a sad ripoff of Deathstroke. You know what I mean? Like Deathstroke was around for 15 years before they invented Deadpool.
Well, Deadpool was popular because of his look and whatnot, but it wasn't until his comic book came out where he was the main character who was
Yeah.
written by, I can't remember who was written by, but that's when he broke the fourth wall and that's when he became popular.
Yeah,
So
when he
I mean,
became
we're gonna
snarky,
have to do a whole video on what constitutes creating the character and because he was nothing until that series and
dude,
that is because of the writer
it's
not
such
the
a
art.
90s paradigm. And it's essentially like you cross Deathstroke with Bart Simpson and you get Deadpool.
Right, but he's not popular because of that. He's popular because the stories in his book
Well,
were so
I'm just
funny,
saying,
people enjoyed them, and
well, that's what I
that's why
mean.
he's popular.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think he became popular until they added the Bart Simpson to that character. You know what I mean? Like, when he first appears, he is just a Deathstroke clone. He isn't all
He's
one-liner. I mean, he has a couple
No,
little jokes in that first thing.
he has the one-liners. So good because Liefeld has said he wanted him to be snappy like Spider-Man. He wanted to make a villain who was kind of,
Well,
did all
I
these
don't
quips and stuff
necessarily think that really
like
comes
Spider-Man.
across in the freaking X-Force stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
No, not at all.
but,
Not at
yeah,
all.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
It's
why I
like
was
not
saying
until
it's not until he gets his own series where he's, the spotlight is put on him and he breaks the fourth wall and all this other stuff happens. And that's the writing of the character. That's not the art.
But what
So
I'm
whether or
saying,
not, what's that?
but what I'm saying is that character wasn't really that character. Like, you know what I mean? I know he's
Yeah,
got like that kind
right.
of snarky thing in the X-Force or whatever, but he
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
really that full-on Bart Simpson guy
You're
like
right.
he is in the
You're right.
movies until the series, you know what I mean? And I
You're
kind of feel like
totally right.
that's the magic ingredient was they just kind of made him a version of Bart Simpson as a superhero or whatever. And when I
Right,
mean Bart
right.
Simpson, I just mean, oh, he's a, you know, he's whatever. It's like a Ferris Bueller character where they always got a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
one line and they're always
yeah,
got the best joke and that kind of thing, you know, like
yeah, 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 definitely.
I'm sure it's
But
Liefeld
anyway,
seeing himself like that. You know, it's like Liefeld wants to be that and then yeah, I mean he makes Deadpool a version of himself or sees a version of himself in Deadpool and wants it to be like that or whatever, you know.
sure, sure. I think we all do that when we create a
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
But I mean,
Sure.
we are getting back to Arthur Adams. Like he's another guy that has chilled out. I think almost all artists chill out with the detail as they get older. But he's one of the guys. He also got a little bit more cartoony, which I don't have a problem at all with.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite cartoony artist of all the comic book artists that I enjoy.
Yeah, when you look at his stuff, dude, over here, it's so different than it is now. You know what I mean? Like, it
Oh
doesn't have
yeah, yeah,
all this stuff is done with pens. Of course, this is whilst Portatio inking this. So
yeah,
you can't really lay any of the inks on Arthur Adams' doorstep or whatever. But
yeah.
you can tell this stuff is all done with like tech pens or whatever. Like, it must have been weird for Marvel to have, you know, this kind of thing in their laboratory, you know, because like everybody there is probably either dip pens or brushes, you know what I mean? And then having
I
someone
I
at this
I
time in
don't know.
1985,
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's using rapidograph
no, it
because they
definitely
didn't.
is. Well, it's not be rapidograph, but it's some kind of tech pen. It could be
Well,
the other one
they
or
didn't.
whatever.
They
You know?
didn't have those kind of pens until I don't know when, but they didn't have them back in '85. They didn't have
Dude,
the
these
type
are
of art
tech
pen.
pens of some kind. I guarantee you they are. You can just look at it and just tell by the
I
flat
don't know.
line. You know what I mean? Like if it
Maybe
was
it's
like
possible.
a dip pin or something, you would have way more line weight variation. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you can just tell. Like I mean, and this is my 2 cents on it. And obviously, I
yeah,
wasn't there. It's not like I'm gonna
yeah.
some
We don't
sort of like
know, but
yeah. But I mean, this all looks like pin stuff to me. It doesn't look like
could
like
be.
any of it was done with like a dip pin or anything like that. But I
Yeah,
could be wrong. I know
yeah,
Lost
yeah. We
Potatoes
don't know.
is a dip pin guy in real life. You know, I mean, I know
Oh
on
yeah.
his own work or whenever he does something, he is usually uses like a Hunt 102 or something like that. You know.
Huh, huh. It's fascinating to see because you look at issue one of Longshot and Arthur Adams, and I don't know if Portacio inks all of it. That might have been one of the things. But if you look at issue two, three, four, five, he grows exponentially as an artist. Arthur Adams does.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look how good he is right off the back. You know what I mean? It's like,
That's really
yeah.
good. That's really awesome. But it's really not too Arthur Adamsy.
Well,
You know
I
what I'm
mean, it
saying?
is and it isn't. I mean, he gets much better, and like you say, now he's way more cartoony. His figures are
Yeah,
broader. Like they
yeah,
have more weight to them. He lets everything breathe more. You never see him draw a page like this now with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 panels on
yeah.
one page.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're right.
Like that's just him doing like giving, trying to, obviously he's just trying to give Marvel everything they want
Yeah,
and
yeah.
include everything he wants, you know what I mean? And just like blow them away, like I know that like the lady, like because this was written by a female. Let me see
Yeah,
what is her name.
Anna Senti.
Yeah, Anna Senti, yeah.
Yeah,
And I know that like this was her first piece of work she wrote.
yeah,
And I think there was like some issues with the way she was giving him information. And he was
maybe.
literally taking like every little thing she said and you know what I mean? Like, and just
Yeah,
trying to cover it, like every single, nuance of what she spoke. And like, there
yeah,
was this
yeah,
sort of realization that she was giving him too much and that she kind of needed to pull back a little bit. Cause like some things like say like this character right here down in the left hand, so like, I don't know how well you can see that, but it
Yeah.
looks exactly like the actor who played Patton.
Oh yeah, George
No
C.
one thought
Scott.
George C. Scott. Thank you.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
know, like, say, like in the like in her notes and stuff, she was like, "Oh, this character, da da da. He's a lot like George C. Scott in this movie." And they're talking.
yeah,
She's trying
yeah,
to give him like an idea of what the character should feel like, and then he goes back and literally like references the movie. You know what I mean? And draws George C. Scott into the into the book or whatever. And then like I think like there was like some like reasserting how they told the story, you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
like
yeah,
she'd given him 3 issues or whatever, and he just went to town on it, and just like disappeared for 9 months and came back with all this stuff, freaking.
yeah,
And it's
yeah. But
gorgeous, but go ahead.
yeah, oh yeah. Talk about image influence being Arthur Adams having the influence on Image and all of those guys. Look at this character here, this female character with the hips and the long legs. That is like all Image guys want to do that.
I like that. I mean, obviously the proportions on that are crazy to me or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
can't tell. Like, you want to say, oh, the character in the background has to be 4 feet or maybe 6 feet behind her or something for her to be that much taller or whatever,
yeah. She's all legs.
That's what I mean. Like the proportions on that are crazy. But like I struggle with that. Like I struggle with elongating the figure.
Yeah,
That's
me
something
too. Me too.
I always have trouble with. Like I'll
He's got it
elongate the
over here
legs, or
too.
I elongate the neck too much, or I elongate the torso too much. And it
Yeah.
could look really great sometimes. You know what I mean? You'll look at
Oh
it,
yeah.
drawing it, and be like, "Oh, this is perfect," or whatever. But then 6 months later, you come back and look at it and be like, "Whoa! Like the neck is so long," or like.
I think
The,
who did Gen 13?
yeah, J. Scott Campbell.
Yeah, yeah. He super does that.
Yeah, especially in the
Same
beginning.
pose.
Yeah. I think, a lot of artists, we all struggle with that, especially if you're trying to work fast or whatever, because
Yeah.
you're laying the figure down and, you'll get the proportions right to your immediate eye or whatever. And you're just like, oh yeah, I'm you're jamming along and it all looks great. And it could just be easy to, miss something, come back. Because like I found it a handful of times in my work, I got called out on it online, by that dude.
So
And
so
like,
wait, do you like this pose? Do you like this elongated legs and stuff?
well, it's awesome. I mean, it's not anatomically realistic, you know what I
No,
mean? But it
no,
still
no,
looks
it's not.
rad.
But it goes with his cartoony style.
Yeah, dude. Well, as an artist, you always got to be trying new and interesting things. I mean, look at this one right here on my page, where it's just the white silhouette of this figure, and then all these just, he's blasting long shot over here, and it's just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like he doesn't even give you the figure; he just gives a white, silhouette, and then just these blast lines filling up the page. It's pretty fantastic. You know what I mean? It's not something I've seen in very many
Right.
comics. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's just trying new things, you know what I mean? Like if you don't try stuff, you know what I mean? If you don't get out there and get both your testicles on the page, you know what I mean? No one's going to
Yeah.
know if
Yeah.
you got the goods, like I know, like I can recall him saying like this book really challenged him. I know he talks about, let's see, where's the shot at? How he never had to draw, oh, it must be a windmill.
A windmill.
Yeah, and there's a windmill in here, and it looks distinctively. Oh gosh, where's that at? Do you hate that?
Do you have the whole series or just that one?
I have, I think like 1 and 4 or something like that somewhere else around here. But I honestly, like I look through my comics so much. I always separate things, you know what I mean? So like.
Me too.
Some stuff will be all together or whatever, but then you'll come across and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to look at this for a little while. Then you set it on a drawer somewhere, and then when you go to put it back in your collection, there it is, right there, this windmill. It looks like it's right out of like Frankenstein or something, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like he looked at some old German windmill, you know what I mean, just to get the like reference for that. But yeah, I mean, art is hard. We're all struggling to try and get it on the page, and you got to get it on there by hook or by crook. But you know, like the stuff looking at this today, and you brought it up earlier when we were talking, was that the Michael Golden
Yeah,
thing. You know,
yeah,
like I don't think
definitely.
I ever really, because came to Michael Golden later on in life, and even though like I love war comics, and I was a
Yeah,
big fan of Nam, and I did have a bunch of those back in the day. But I wasn't like, follow. Well, I was a kid still, you know what I mean? And I wasn't like
yeah,
all, just like
yeah.
with this. When I bought this, I wasn't all like Arthur Adams, I got to get it. You know what I mean? It was just
Right,
a
right.
rad looking comic with awesome art, and I'm always a guy that chases the art.
Yeah.
And I thought the Nom was fantastic because the art in it was so good. But now that I'm older and you look at Arthur Adams, you really see how he is riffing on the Michael Golden thing. You know what I mean?
Oh
You can
yeah,
totally
yeah,
tell that
definitely.
like Michael
Look,
Golden's
like
got to be
this
one of
panel
his main
here is
influences.
so golden. I think
Yeah,
when
dude.
he what he does though, when he elongates things and he makes things, he like is he takes things into much more cartoony direction than Michael Golden did. So,
Yeah, I
he
agree.
like everybody, he makes it his own.
He really does. And I mean, there's a lot of his own stuff in here, but you could just see you can't hardly, do something like this without being influenced by other people. I mean, how are you ever going to get this good if you're not looking at someone else like this and being like, that's
Yeah,
what I want to look like on the page.
yeah,
Um, I love some of this stuff. Like I remember being a kid and thinking like it was one of the coolest superpowers like anyone had ever invented. And like anytime people will describe Longshot, I'm always like, it's the coolest thing in the world. It's like Longshot is like he breaks the odds of everything in his favor. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm not sure if everybody else gets bad luck when they're around him. You know what I mean? Like you'd think that's what would happen, but
right.
like there's a scene in here where he jumps out of a window with dental floss and flings the dental floss like around a flagpole and uses it to swing down to the ground. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's like he stops and he's like, "Oh, good thing I'm long shot. That this would never work for a regular person." You know what I mean?
right,
But because
right,
he could
right,
bring the
right.
odds of probability into an impossible place, of course,
Yeah.
he could use a thing of
And
dental floss.
story wise, that makes it possible for anything. Like
Yeah. Yes.
anything you want to happen. Oh, that was just lucky. Yeah,
Yeah, this long shot can't lose, man. He's the ultimate long shot. And then just that name too, you know what I mean? Like, and that it was thought up by a chick. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
amazing, dude. Because usually girls don't really, aren't, sitting around dreaming about,
Well,
superhero figures and that kind of thing.
I think Longshot, the character and his powers, I think that was all Arthur Adams.
Is that right? You think maybe like she just wrote
I think
the
so.
script with him or
I'm
whatever?
pretty sure that I saw that somewhere that the character was his and that Nesenti just did like the scripting and the dialogue and all that stuff. But like story wise, I think that was all Arthur Adams.
I was
I'm not
watching somebody
100% sure, but
I was watching somebody dissect this stuff recently, and they had pulled up like a pop singer from Australia in the 1980s, and
yeah.
he had that exact same
Oh
haircut
yeah.
or
Flock
whatever.
of Seagulls?
No, it wasn't
Flock
Flock of Seagulls.
was it
But
Flock of Seagulls? He's got that
it was
hair.
just it was like a single art. It was like Matt Clarity or something like that. It was just like it's like a single guy just singing or whatever. Like I said, it was from
Yeah.
Australia, so I don't know if he ever really was that big over here or anything. But I was
Yeah.
just tripping out that like that Arthur Adams saw that guy and was like, oh yeah, that's the long shot haircut or whatever. Like he just draws that in there. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's fantastic. And if Arthur Adams created him and came up with the idea, then hats off to him because I love the
Yeah.
character. I love
I'm
the
pretty
art. I
sure.
love the story. I until you said it earlier, I never really saw the Michael Golden, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. There's so much
Oh yeah.
Michael Golden in this; it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's fabulous, and it's hard as it is to believe, he gets better.
Yeah.
As great
Yeah.
as this stuff is, he gets better. I mean, dude, like this cover right here, and it's pretty famous cover, right? And we all are familiar with the long shot cover. Have you ever seen this as a black and white image?
No.
Dude, the colors on this thing are crazy. And
Yeah.
like I saw this as just the black and white page, right? And it is almost impossible to tell what is happening. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Like
Yeah.
you can't see it on this, right? Because they color They color
Yeah.
mark all the
Yeah.
figures inside, right? So all these figures out here just have color on them, but they have their black line. But in
Right.
here, they color the black line.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if and they're doing it so that they can superimpose Longshot, right? So you can see Longshot and his little buddy down here as the main characters, obviously. But when you
Yeah.
look at the black and white of this, you could tell they had to do this with the color treatment because there's so many characters on here. There's like 10 or 15 characters on this thing that are
Yeah.
barely discernible in here. And just Longshot disappears. You can't even hardly see him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you just, it just looks like a blur of lines or whatever, you know, like it's like someone looked at it and was like, this is fantastic. But no one could tell what is going on in this or what we're even looking at. Like it's one of those things where you have to look at it for like 5 minutes and let things resolve, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Kind of
kind of
like
have to
Dan's work, you
figure
know, like
things
some of
out.
them, like some of those doghouse covers, you know, when Dan gets so busy
Yeah.
and you have to like
Yeah.
sit and look at them for a minute to really let, you know, because there'll be different layers of things. There'll be something here and then something here and something here, but you won't catch that necessarily or whatever. Or like maybe you're looking at like maybe this is like someone's legs and that's the crotch and you're looking between the legs at the figures or something
Yeah.
like that. And you won't even realize it, you know, until you've looked at it for 3 or 4 days. And you're like, oh my God, like that's a person standing there or whatever, like that
Right.
kind of thing, you know. But that stuff's always amazing to me when, you know, people just like dive into their art and just like go completely nuts. You know what I mean? Like there's some early like Stephen Platt stuff that's like that, like some of those Moon Knight pages where
Yep.
you're just like,
Yep.
what is happening here? There's just like there's not 1 inch of this page that isn't covered with black ink, and you just gotta
Yep.
sit there and take
Yep.
like
Yep.
a couple minutes to just figure out exactly what you're looking at. You know, like whose legs are this guy? Like there's a pair of legs floating over here. I can't figure out who they belong to because there's like 20 figures and they're all toppled on top of each other or whatever, you know. But that's art, man. I love it. I can't get enough of this stuff. And once again today, we were looking at the always incomparable Arthur Adams and the always magnificent Joe Madureira. Let us know what you guys think about these artists. They're both super talented dudes. We love their work, and we just wanted to hang out with you guys and just talk comic books and look at comic books for a little while. Alex and I are both comic book creators. Is there anything you'd like to put up on the screen, Alex, and show people before we get on out of here?
Well, we're also gonna have a poll on who you like more, Arthur Adams and Joe Madureira. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm always happy to show off Random Access. This is the newest Random Access, issue number 33, and it's got some cool new stuff because it's turning into a full-fledged anthology with Shane Evans, Jeremy Duncan, and Doug Roberts as backup stories. Along with my 10-pager, as well as you were saying, the back cover.
Gorgeous.
Who did this again? Huh?
Dan Goodwin from Doghouse.
That's right. That's right. Dan Goodwin from Doghouse. And it looks amazing. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
And hopefully he'll be doing some more stuff.
Who's that
And
new
so
character who's that new character on the cover?
this
Yeah, I'm not familiar
here,
with him.
he's the villain. He's going to be the main villain in my Return of the Old Gods storyline that's coming out. So he was actually a good guy in the daily strip that I did on Instagram a few years ago, and he's this barbarian that is trying to save the damsel in distress and stuff. So they go through all these hardships and stuff, but at the end he gets bitten by some vampires on an island. So that's just him. So you can check these out at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. Just for $3 a month, you get so far it's 16 pages, but it's going up to 20 pages within the next few months, I hope.
Is that a Queller story in there that I'm seeing, or
Yep,
what's the main story?
This is the fourth part of the Queller storyline, where he goes to that island centuries after the main character has been turned into a vampire, and I'll give you a little rundown of the storyline where he gets Queller and his girlfriend get shipwrecked on the island, and the vampire, his name is Muzzin, has them brought there, and he actually orchestrated the whole thing to make them shipwrecked there because he wants Queller to get. And these are some of the old gods that some
It's a
of
nice looking
my
page.
what's that? Thank you.
It's a nice looking
Some
page,
of
yeah.
my artistic compatriots have made. Jamie Barrows did this guy, and Jake did the Jacobs did this. I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, where was I? He has him go to. He can't. There's like a book. It's like the Necronomicon, basically, and he can't get it. He wants it. He can't get it because it's in the Vatican. So he's going to send Queller on a task of getting this Necronomicon-like book.
Oh, I recall you saying you were going to be drawing some stuff from the Vatican. Is that still coming?
Yeah,
Coming? you
that
having you having fun doing
yeah.
that?
Well,
That
it's
doesn't
just
sound like too much fun. Drawing the Vatican buildings are pretty intricate.
they're right there. That's my first. That's my first Vatican. The
Okay,
next
that's pretty
issue
good.
the next issue that it's in is going to be even more. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
it'll be
nice, man.
interesting. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Joe Leonardo. I'm working on one of my new books. This is the experimental comic that inspired it. This is Entropy Alliance 1. Entropy Alliance 2, which is drawn specifically by myself and Alexander Turbin, will be out shortly. It is a classic DC superhero book. It is, it is not so many, completely obvious ways a homage to classic DC, Superman, Batman characters. And it is very close to cracking, and the second story is going to be quite spectacular. We have plotted several issues of this stuff, and as of right now, I mean, this is going to be my main thing. I will probably be working on Alliance for the next couple of years, because it'll probably take me at least a year or two to knock out all the books that I kind of have in mind and to tell the story in a really complete way that I like to tell it. And Alex is plotting this with me, and he also is one of the artist contributors. Go ahead and put that back up again. Boy, that's great.
The cover.
Wow, man,
That's
you're
the
really
cover.
moving along on that, dude. That's looking really good, Alex. That might be one of the
Yeah.
best paintings I've seen you do.
Yeah. I don't know. The painting though, I find is super hard to copy. Like I copy my stuff. I scan my stuff at 600 resolution, which is like double what most people do. They usually do 400 or 300,
I do
and it's
600 too.
still yeah. A lot of people do less 400, but even then, scanning at 600, I still don't seem to get the resolution and the detail that I like from getting painting from paintings.
I wonder why
It's
that is.
weird.
It might be hard because like the painting is such a series of soft edges. You know what I mean? Like, whereas
Maybe. I don't
because
I
like
don't know.
drawing or whatever is like everything has got a sharp edge on it, but when you're painting something, everything is like all these soft blurs. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
when you pull back, form a focus point. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of how painting works. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're just doing all these like soft smudging that when you pull away from it, I mean, Monet made his entire career out of creating art like that or whatever.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like that is the impetus of most painting is you're collaging color together in these soft ways that form really solid things. Like that is a very solid looking, everything looks great in that. But I can imagine that might be really hard for a scanner to pick up and really be able to define when you're laying it down with like, when you're printing it in a laser printer or whatever, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because it can't hardly capture all the nuance of the brushstroke and all that kind of stuff.
I think so. I mean, that's why the cover for the random access, this is painted here, and it loses something from the original painting. I think the original painting is a lot better.
I'd
So I
like
don't
to see
know.
the original painting. I've never actually saw the painting, but I'd like to see that too. You have to show it to
Yeah.
me sometime. But
Yep.
still, that's a great
Yep.
looking
Definitely
image,
will.
dude. You're doing killer work. And yeah, Entropy Alliance 2 is literally almost done right now. So that'll be out in not too terribly long a distance. And of course, once I'm done with Entropy Alliance, I will come back to my own creation because Alex and I created the Alliance characters together. And Six Lords of Sound is my homage to classic X-Men style storytelling and classic Claremont style like superheroes. And it's meshed with my continuous love for heavy metal, as I was a speed metal musician when I was a kid. And it's kind of like space rock stars as the most powerful superheroes in the universe. It's a super fun story. It's a super fun concept. I'm very proud of the original idea of having a superhero team that is really like, you know, a bunch of the galaxy's greatest musicians that also happen to come from a planet that everything is powered by music, and music is well, they, you know, what make up their weapons, and music is how they fly around in their ships, and you know, music is just the center of this little planet's entire universe. And luckily, since there's an evil, monstrous villain out there creating a plague that swallows sound, and as it swallows sound, it swallows the intellect of all the people on the planets that it inhabits. You need someone like the Six Lords of Sound out there to come out and just blast the world with the most awesome, most powerful speed metal, heavy metal from the deepest corners of the dark recesses of the galaxy to make sure that life on all sentient worlds can be preserved. Would you like that selling point?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a great, fantastic concept. I love
You
your
know,
book.
Six Lords of
It's
Sound's a
great.
blast. I will be coming back to this. You know, the second issue, it already has work done on it. I did postpone it because I was so, you know, what really happened with me is that I just have this huge love for DC Comics. And when Alex came up with the idea for the Entropy Alliance, I couldn't help but just sort of strong arm him into coming along with me and telling this big old DC style end of the universe story. But when we get back to that, we'll be back to our old stuff hardcore. And of course, Alex is always hard at work on any myriad of different things. He's a much more hardworking comic book artist than I am. He's always out there turning out his stuff on a monthly basis, where I need like 4 months, 5 months at a time to get a book ready. Alex does it in a month, and you have to have a lot of respect for anybody who's working that hard in the industry. So everybody get out there, get your hands on Random Access, just $3 for a copy. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. It's a great story. You're going to get color comics. You're going to get black and white comics. And if you're a comic book creator and you'd like to have your art featured on our show, or if you'd like us to discuss your comic, feel free to send us copies. We'd love to get our hands on them. And make sure you contact Alex on his Instagram at Alexander Turbin, on Instagram at Alexander Turbin 04401.
Alex Turbin 04401.
Alex Turbin, say it again, 04401?
Alex Turbin 04401. Yep.
00, say it.
004401.
Okay, 004401.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I got to remember that, 004401. Okay, and then my Instagram is Awfully World on Instagram. It's all one word, AWFULLYWORLD. Contact us on our Instagram pages, and we'll definitely send you the information where you can get your books to us, and we'll feature your book on the show and discuss it and talk about how amazing the work you do is. Once again, this is Comic Books from Coast to Coast. I'm Joe Leonardo. I'm hanging out with my buddy Alexander Turbin. We're both comic book creators, but we're both comic book fans. And please come out and cast your vote for Joe Madureira. That's an amazing cover. Or the always incomprehensible Arthur Adams. They're both fantastic artists. This is less about deciding which one is better and more about just seeing who likes who more and how many people appreciate this person over how many people appreciate that person. So we appreciate you if you come out and you cast your vote. It means a lot to us. If you'd like to leave a comment, we'd love to hear from you guys. If you watch this show to the very end, it helps Alex's show get out to the algorithm on YouTube, which is brutal. So we thank you for that. Please make a comment, drop us a like, give Alexander a follow, and Comic Books from Coast to Coast will be back in another week or so with another show. We'll be hanging out with you guys again. But for now, I think that just about wraps it up. You all wrapped up there, Alex?
Yep, you only got one more thing to say. You say it this week.
All right, I'll give you guys the marching orders. You get out there and do what's right. Make sure you leave your mark. Keep on creating.